Hello, everybody. Are you doing okay? It is May 8. Well, actually, May 9. Uh, and I put it in as May 8. Let's see, I can't get it off. Okay. I'm just a day behind everybody else. And I feel like I'm a day behind everybody else. And I bet there's a lot of people who feel like they are a day behind with all of these storms, severe weather, flooding, tornadoes. Hello, Alicia DeMoss, Blues du Jour, Justin Wynn. You survived. Lots of power outages, trees down though. Justin, where are you located? Andrew Cruz, hello. Michael Mossberg and Barb in Ohio. And Agnes, hello. Silent Walk, hello. Patricia White. Shauna Howard, hi. Everybody. Sheepdog Patriot, Angelos. Jane Northrup, hello. Rage Against the Machine, hello. Amber Eyes, hello. Rick Yorkin, hello. You're in Jasper, Tennessee. Okay. Loretta, hello. You're very welcome. You're in Tennessee. Here, Michigan. A subscriber left me a comment. My hometown is Portage, Michigan, Kalamazoo. They say it was an F2, the tornado, and was on the ground for 11 minutes. My mom, she's 78. Her car was totaled in her carport from a tree, and she can't go in her apartment for days due to a possible gas leak and damage. Many people I know personally encountered damage. The wife of a guy I went to high school with had her car rolled by the twister and was injured. Nothing serious, fortunately. There was a big tornado in downtown Kalamazoo back in 1980. I had to go down to a basement in roller skates. That's when he was 10. Nothing serious. Coincidentally, my dad, who lives in Fort Wayne, Indiana, was in a serious highway accident yesterday afternoon, and his car was totaled. So both my parents have had their cars totaled within 24 hours. It was a hell of a day. Wow, that is quite a hell of a day. I'm here in rural southeast Oklahoma, as I left Michigan a year ago due to the ever-increasing tyranny there. Yes, everybody should leave Michigan. Whitmer is a tyrant. That's the governor of Michigan. Southeast Oklahoma, I hope that you stay safe there for sure. Super Painting 62 and Julie and El Sababnor, hello. Hi, let's look at radar because we're going to have another night of severe weather. They got the supercells activated, and look at how the air masses are moving in two different directions. In Texas, oh, it's going down south, and here in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. These are going to get bigger, this supercell activation down here, and they're going to consolidate, and they're going to cause, unfortunately, tornadic activity or hail or flooding. You guys in central Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, be very careful. And you guys in Texas, look at these supercells. Okay, not good. Not good. So it's every day now that we are getting very destructive storms. But first, Bozeman, Montana. Oh, wow. They had a snowstorm. Watch this truck.
Oh.
They put slippery ingredients in what they're spraying.
Winter weather clogs roads, closing Bozeman Pass, Bridger Canyon Drive. A spring winter weather clog.
That's one long prime truck, and it's stuck. Now, if these 18-wheelers can't, well, that's not an 18-wheeler, but if they can't handle driving in this, something is amiss and it needs to be questioned.
Winter weather clogs roads, closing Bozeman Pass, Bridger Canyon Drive. A spring snowstorm dropped 5 inches of snow in Bozeman Tuesday night and up to 18 inches in the surrounding mountains. According to the Montana Department of Transportation, snow caused hazardous driving conditions and accidents on Bozeman Pass, causing officials to close both the eastbound and westbound lanes of Interstate 90 between Bear Canyon and exit 330 in West Livingston on Wednesday morning.
Sorry, but those trucks should have easily handled natural snow.
Stuck vehicles also blocked all lanes of traffic on Bridger Canyon Drive Wednesday morning. Snow is expected to fall Wednesday evening, said Rosemary Webb, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Great Falls. Hundreds of people were stranded on Bozeman Pass Wednesday as heavy snow and high winds bogged cars on Interstate 90.
Yeah, because
Gallatin County Sheriff's Deputy Jeremy Kopp told reporters Wednesday night that there were drifts up to 3 feet deep around 5 miles of stranded vehicles and motorists. Gallatin County Sheriff's Office deputies and search and rescue teams responded starting around noon on Wednesday. Webb said an upper-level trough over southeastern Montana pushed a low-pressure system carrying moisture southwest toward Bozeman on Tuesday. Late Thursday. She said sunny skies are expected over the weekend, with high temperatures forecast to reach.
all right, if anybody wants to watch the full disaster in Montana, the link is in the chat. Now, before I go on to all of the tornadoes that took place last night, early morning, I just want to remind everybody, how about hurricane and tornado control device? It can affect the formation and or direction of a low atmospheric weather system. Audio generators are positioned to project sound waves toward a peripheral area of a weather system. The sound waves are generated at a frequency to affect the formation of the weather system in a manner to disrupt, enhance, or direct the formation. The sound waves can also be projected in a manner to cause the system to produce rain. I will drop this link in the chat. Maybe, circulate it around. Oh, they have so many methods. So many methods. And how about one that I believe that they use quite a lot. Weather modification by artificial satellites. It can harness solar energy to modify the thermodynamics and composition of the Earth's atmosphere. This weather modification by artificial satellites, the weather modification applications include alteration of precipitation, reclaiming of wasteland, reducing damage by bad weather, and improving the environment. Yes, some people actually believed that these creations were going to be used for good, not as weapons. Its non-weather related applications include supplying concentrated energy to electricity generating stations, solar, wind, hydro, high latitude, greenhouse farms, and solar powered airplanes. All right, this is a very long patent. One patent that I have very often included. But considering all of the tornadoes that we are seeing with all of the frequencies that we get to see on radar, these storms are literally, the weather warfare, wow, has it ramped up big time. Big time. And we're going to see more tornadoes tonight, early morning hours. But what this system can do, create whirlwinds or tornadoes. It can be used to move two air masses in opposite directions or in the same direction but at different speeds. This process will create a whirlwind or a small tornado. The whirlwind or tornado strength can be increased or decreased by combining and colliding many smaller whirlwinds, rotating in the same direction or opposite directions, thus creating a stronger, weaker tornado. And I'll drop the link to that patent as well. Unfortunate that most adults don't care to have adult conversation about what is taking place. Communities across the United States left reeling from savage stretch of severe storms.
We're alive.
We're alive.
We're alive. Thank God we're alive.
I just picked her up and we made it to the back bathroom and I covered her up with my body and rode it out.
I'm just glad we made it out all right.
Just going through shock, really sad and emotional and upset, crying.
I'm just amazed and thankful that nobody was killed. This was just a terrible devastation to the whole area.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around all this. It's just crazy.
The severe weather and tornado outbreaks over the last few weeks has been relentless.
And we have a lot of attachments to this home. It's been family for years. And it's just really sad when you look around.
Resulting in significant damage to homes, buildings, infrastructure.
It was the most beautiful, horrible thing you've ever seen in your life. It wasn't big, it wasn't very wide, but it was such a long spiral tornado.
Across the Great Plains into the Midwest, the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, the storms keep punching and people keep fighting.
It's amazing when you see all the volunteers out here helping and pulling together to help us all get through this.
There have been what some people are calling miracles, like in Elkhorn, Nebraska, where no one lost their life after an EF3 twister leveled neighborhoods.
Out of all these houses and all this destruction, nobody lost their life. I don't even think there was any pets gone, as far as I know. Everybody survived.
amazing.
Other states not so lucky, like Iowa, Kansas, and Oklahoma, where some communities are reeling after the loss of loved ones.
You know, we know May is the most deadly, most active month.
See, this is when I have a whole lot of difficulty listening to these people who never ever speak the truth. Never do they mention weather modification. Never do they mention the technology being used. Never do they mention geoengineering. So I just find this man just a soulless, disgusting little piece of shit. Sorry, I can't stand it. Sky 5 gives us a bird's eye view of the flooding caused by this week's severe weather in Tennessee. This came about last night.
Did some damage here, so we're going to continue down the path here. What you're looking at is yet another home. It looks like the roof of this house has been taken off there. Some significant structural damage to that. You've got debris and again trees in all different directions, indicating that rotation of very strong winds happening through here. What you're also going to notice down on the ground, you've got emergency crews, people helping. There have been search and rescue happening throughout this morning. This is the first time they've even let anyone fly over this area because they have been hoping to help anyone who is still maybe in part of this debris. So you're looking at people right now helping out with this house that was completely destroyed. You've got crews there on the scene helping. I mean, it's just, as many times as we fly over tornado damage, it's still hard to see it every single time. It still takes your breath away just to see the power of what these storms can do. And something I've noticed, not just with the tornadoes, but we've had a significant amount of flooding in this area too. So not only are we dealing with damage and debris from winds and from tornadic activity, you've got a large area, not just here in Murray County, but all across Middle Tennessee that is dealing with very high water that is continuing to recede. I know the rain is now out of here, but it's going to take some time for all of that water to recede back, especially along our rivers and creeks. This is so surprising to not just myself, but our pilot and our chief photographer, Mike Rose, who's here as well. This particular home is still standing. It doesn't look like the home itself had any damage to it, yet this building on the back side of it completely destroyed, absolutely destroyed in that tornado. The trees around it are, so that just, it's mind-blowing sometimes when you come out and you can see how close these two structures are and the difference in the kind of damage that you get from a tornado.
Wow.
Heather
Wow. Sumner County hit hard by overnight flooding. This is also in Tennessee.
Homes and also washed out driveways.
Fortunately, the house is up pretty high on the hill, but our barn there, the water came in and flooded the downstairs of the barn.
We heard like thunder nearby, like so close, and we saw like big lightning flashes.
When it covers the field, right, this is a hay field, so now the hay is questionable whether or not they're going to be able to get the crop out of it. In the past, what has happened is that the water has wiped away the driveway where we built the driveway up and put the culverts in there, but it still went over.
All the cleanup efforts, the result of just heavy water flow coming from Drake's Creek, making its way up here. And the current and the force of it was so great that it created the need for more than 30 water rescues. That's hands-on by first responders from emergency management. Also, there was a report of a vehicle not far from here, just down Drake's Creek, that drove in, flipped upside down, and the driver was able to make it out safely himself. The car is still there. The bottom line on all this is that since then, the water flow has gone down. Things have really improved. I'd say gone down about 5 feet just within the last 8 to 12 hours.
Well, it does go down, but unfortunately, a lot of the rivers have taken in quite a bit of rainfall. Looters, you have to watch out for looters, of course, with, all of this destruction.
Now, Tuesday night's tornadoes damaged dozens of businesses.
And now police in Portage are investigating people stealing from some of them. Around 9:30 last night, police responded to the shopping center on West Center Avenue. When they arrived, officers found 2 people who they say had stolen items from the businesses. Officers then contacted the business owner, who did want to press charges.
An 18-year-old from Galesburg was arrested and a minor from Kalamazoo was turned over to her parents. Both cases have been submitted to the prosecutor's office for review. Portage police say they will be providing extra patrol attention to the areas of the city impacted by the storm.
Those are the shitty people. Tennessee tornado survivor says it felt like 10 trains going down the road at one time.
Not much warning. Once we knew that it was happening and we saw what was coming, I knew that it wasn't right. We got downstairs, that's all we could do.
Could you see it? Anything from up here?
You could see it coming across the hill, but you couldn't tell what it was. But you could definitely hear it and you could feel it.
What did it feel like, a pressure or like a...
Oh, you could feel the rumble. You could actually feel it coming. I can't explain it. It was like 10 trains going down the road at one time. I mean, the force was so strong coming through our basement that it blew the doors out going to the back of the house from what was coming through the house from the upstairs.
But it missed where me and my wife stayed about 4 inches.
I mean,
it went around, and it prays to pray. I'm telling you, I just got done praying. So Lord, please don't let nobody get hurt.
You would really think that people would be questioning, why are we getting these very destructive tornadoes every single day? But why are they coming at night when they used to come in the afternoon?
7 News reporter Annalise Murphy has been at the site all day long and joins us live now to show us all of that damage. But first, Annalise, talk about the people who live there. How are they feeling right now?
Guys, I've been in the Fairhaven area of Hancock County all morning and all afternoon. Right now, I'm actually at the intersection of Locust Hill and Shepherds Valley Road.
Oh, and this is West Virginia. Now we're off Tennessee. We're into West Virginia.
Diagonal from the brunt of the damage that this tornado caused. It's truly a devastating scene. All of the residents that I've spoken to have said they're just in complete shock. This isn't usually something you see happen in Hancock County, West Virginia. I also talked to the National Weather Service, and they're telling me it's going to take several days to assess the scope of the damage.
I was surprised more than anything else. It's never happened around here before. I mean, we've had some bad storms, but nothing like a tornado coming through.
This was the general reaction I received while talking to several residents. The tornado hit the Fairhaven area of Hancock County the hardest, but sections of Orchard Road also experienced some damage.
It appears that this started right in this International Drive area. And it looks like it crossed over Route 8 into the Orchard Road area. Behind that is State Game Lands. At night, it was hard to really see just how bad it was. We were able to see that some homes were catastrophically damaged, but in the daylight, we're able to see the impact to the area as a whole.
A home has completely lost its roof with debris scattered throughout their property. The farm to the right is over 100 years old and experienced catastrophic damage with the loss of at least 4 to 5 barns. Officials tell 7 News all the farmers' cattle are safe and accounted for. A team with the National Weather Service out of Pittsburgh told me that this is the first tornado ever recorded within Hancock County. They were in the area most of the morning surveying the damage.
We see several several houses that are missing the roofs. We see trees that were debarked, and we see farm and dairy barns outside that were completely destroyed, campers turned over, tractor trailers from tractor tractors from like farm tractors that were moved like 50 to 60 yards. So again, like very extensive damage from very strong winds last night.
Oh man. Yeah, here tornadoes leave trail of damage across Pittsburgh.
Fairhaven, West Virginia, where it's been an emotional day.
Residents tell me when that tornado hit, it sounded like a bomb went off, an explosion with rain and strong winds before it touched down. You can see some of the damage. This tree uprooted nearly as tall as I stand. You can also see right over here metal mangled around the trees. And if you take a look behind me, you can see just homes ripped apart.
So this will be the first recorded tornado in Hancock County.
Wait, that was West Virginia. Oh, news. The news. Can't stand the news. What's going on? Alright, so maybe they started with West Virginia, now into Pittsburgh.
Light trying to restore power, a power pole and lines knocked down. Just over the hill from here in Oakdale, one family was in the basement, but they caught the funnel cloud on their Ring doorbell camera.
We went down in the basement and we were just kind of sitting there and I was like, oh yeah, the ring footage is still there. So I pulled it up on my phone and we were watching and I didn't see anything at first. And then we saw the funnel start to form. It was loud, like it sounded like thunder and you could hear the wind and the rain, but I don't know. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't see anything at first. So I don't know, I was expecting to see more, but I was like, okay, we can see if something's coming. And then when we started to see the funnel form, I showed my mom, and then she was calling my grandma to make sure that she went to her basement.
And of course, a lot of power outages in these states. Deadly storms barrel across the country.
Huge swath of forest leveled, with trees snapped like matchsticks. Lives uprooted in Maury County, Tennessee.
I started seeing the clouds, and that's when I heard the roar, and that's when I hollered at everybody to get in the closet, and then the next thing we knew, we heard just seen sky. My house is gone. It's just gone. I lost 2 dogs, and we're still looking for my mom and my aunt.
More than 80 twisters across 17 states over the last 3 days. The storms bringing chaos across the South, intense rain and flooding. Entire cities without power, cars crushed by reported tornadoes. Large hail, heavy rains, and high winds turning deadly in Lone Mountain, Tennessee, where a tree fell on a car, killing a 22-year-old man. In Portage, Michigan, a massive cleanup effort now underway in neighborhoods shredded by a massive tornado. This house flipped completely upside down with a couple in their 60s inside. The state's governor declaring a state of emergency in 4 counties.
The devastation's real. There are a lot of displaced families.
That's Governor Tyrant. Ugh. God, man. Can't stand looking at her face. Across the Tennessee Valley.
To Alabama, where the Henniger Fire Department says they are spending the day rescuing people from their homes. Captain Wesley Busby says they have rescued 7 people so far. He says his crew watched the storm hit from the fire department last night and then immediately went to rescue people as soon as it cleared. He says people were trapped in their homes along Alabama 75 and Lacey Road.
Combination of all structures, trees, amount of trees, power lines, power poles, so pretty much all the above.
He says
this is Alabama.
There are several road closings and power lines down, so if you do not have to travel today, he says stay home. And this isn't the first time a tornado has hit this area of Alabama. In 2016, we covered an EF2 tornado that killed 3 people in Rosalie, Alabama. That's about 10 minutes away from Henniger. The tornado caused homes to be destroyed, and several others were also injured in Jackson County.
So, for the 24 hours since I have ended the live, last night, now this live. How many states were hit? Were you keeping track? Tennessee, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Alabama, Iowa, Nebraska, and Georgia is coming up, North Carolina. You think weather warfare is ramping up?
The DeKalb County Sheriff.
This is a video compilation. Strong storms hit the Chattanooga area, which is Tennessee, but it's a compilation of, other states as well. North Georgia, Tennessee.
Massive down tree right in front of the elementary school. There is a tree completely blocking both sides of Grubb Road.
It's a very slow-moving system, and it is just pounding us with rain. Hail in Jasper, Tennessee, South Pittsburgh, and Rising Fawn, Georgia overnight. A tree that fell on a patrol car of a Chattanooga police officer. CPD telling us this happened on Hickson Pike while the officer was inside that vehicle.
Figured a video would give more context to this.
South, around that area of Dalton, Lafayette, a massive area of flash flood warnings going on.
This water has died down quite a bit, but as you can see, there's a bit of a rush happening here. There's a lot of damage going on this morning, so we're definitely not out of the woods, as Ryan mentioned earlier.
Thank you so much for making Storm Track 9 your first.
Oh, thank you, young man there who you actually think you're a meteorologist. Okay. All right, so flooding concerns continue throughout the morning. This is also in Tennessee.
This in Gallatin, drivers were halfway underwater, in some cases dealing with flooded roads and intersections.
Of course, there was even more rainfall. Since then, all across the region, you're going to want to be extra mindful of those road conditions this morning.
Brianna Hamblin has gotten a chance to see things for herself. She just jumped out of Storm 5 Titan to give you a look at some of our flooding in the northern counties. So, Brianna, good morning. Where are you and how are things?
Good morning, Ben and Amy. We are on Cross Plains Road right now, and even though the rain has stopped, flooding is what you're still going to have to be careful of on the roads here. Look at all of this water that how far it has covered across this road, and you can see in the distance there is a car there, and if whoever was in that car, I'm sure when they got out, it had to have been the water up to thigh height, so that's very high water. We even saw the lights flickering. Luckily, it seems like no one's in that car, but we saw the lights in Robertson County have yards that look like this, where just
this isn't a yard. This is a farm.
Huge fields have completely flooded. Some homes we've even seen part of it underwater as well. And so when you...
God. It was nuts. Columbia, Tennessee got hit hard.
Murray County, Tennessee. One person has been confirmed dead, 4 people injured, and you can see what it did to this home here. So far, the National Weather Service hasn't given this tornado an EF rating yet. They haven't gotten onto the ground to do a preliminary survey, but you can see, this tree has been toppled over, the roof has been ripped off. We talked to a neighbor earlier about what it was like to be here during this tornado. Take a listen.
I'm getting ready to sit down and watch TV, and it started getting crazy out, and I got up and I looked out my window and I'm thinking, maybe I need to put some britches on because this is going to get hairy. It was nuts. My trees were just going every which way.
This is no joke. You know, it's bad. And I really hope, as you've been hearing, you know, a whole lot of people are saying, well, we never had a tornado here. Now, with man controlling weather, they can bring those tornadoes anywhere. And they are frightening. I really hope that all of you are prepared, because this is coming to, you know, doors that, you know, people just never ever expected it, and subscribers, you know, are in these storms as well.
Everything was flying around. What was on the floor, a lot of the debris, well, whatever you call the insulation is what I'm assuming and stuff, and it was awful. You looked like it was in the Wizard of Oz. I'm not kidding. That's the way I felt. I thought I was going to die. That's what I thought. And I was just screaming. I said, somebody come help me. And then, like I said, when I walked over to the center, I seen those guys out there. And I hollered at them, and they come and got me.
Yeah, some construction.
Captured as it happened on a smartphone, a large tornado touched down near Spring Hill, Tennessee, about 30 miles south of Nashville. Severe damage was reported in the area, along with multiple injuries. The person who recorded this video says the twisters were just outside of his front door. This is what severe weather battered Tennessee yesterday, like in Columbia, Tennessee, which is just south of Spring Hill. At least 3 radar-confirmed tornadoes touched down to the state. Multiple reports of injuries. At least 1 death has been confirmed. Captured as it happened on a smartphone, a large tornado touched down near Spring Hill, Tennessee. This front door.
This is a very sick tree. Their immune systems are shot. You can see how it's hollowed out. It's not solid. You can see all of the fungal disease. And these trees, their immune systems are so shot that they can't even withstand a little bit of wind. Columbia, Tennessee. Can't play this. This is Live Storms Media, but yeah, a whole lot of people every single day are losing their homes. Drone tornado aftermath. This is Alabama. Can't play this one. It's a storm chasing video, so there was a building here that's gone. Don't know what everybody is going to do. When you know what our economy has done to people and pushing people to the financial edge, and then they have to deal with this. It's not good. Not good. This is Alabama.
Team coverage today with crews spread out across North Alabama, giving you a complete picture of the situation. 48's Aria Pons is in Limestone County, but we start in DeKalb County, where Henniger appears to have taken a very hard hit, and that's where we find 48's Savannah Sapp. Savannah.
Yeah, Gina, I'm standing near a home, or what is left of a home, on County Road 422 here in Henniger, and this is where a lot of the damage has been reported, and these storms only just let up about 2 hours ago. In fact, when I arrived here in Henniger, the area was placed under yet another tornado warning at around 8 this morning, and I myself had to take shelter at a nearby business just to remain safe. But speaking of taking shelter, one man did just that in this home behind me. Now, Now, I spoke to the homeowner off camera. He did not want to do an on-camera interview, but he tells me that he rode out the storms while hiding in his own chimney. He says when the storms passed, he came out and all he could see was the sky above him. He says he's a bit sore from all the jostling, all the wind, but otherwise he's been left unscathed. I've also checked in with Jackson County EMA Director Paul Smith, who says the total amount of damage here is uncertain at this time. He did say some Henniker residents were transported to the hospital with minor injuries. Now, like I said, it's still unclear the
Athens. You're taking a look at a new photo sent in to us by the city's communication specialist, Holly Holman. This tree fell on a home on Bryan Street near Houston Street. Now let's head on over to 48's Aria Pons, who continues our live team coverage. She is in Limestone.
We actually brought coverage to you last night, but in the daytime you can see a lot more damage. I'm going to step out of the way for a second here. You can see that there's a house right here just completely demolished. There's several trees down. One person I spoke to said that the trees are actually what makes the community, and the team is out here currently. And I was told by deputies and an EMA management worker that everyone here is okay. Everyone is safe. No one was injured here. 2 houses are completely damaged. The back of the neighborhood took the most damage. From there, several other houses have pieces of them missing. A lot of roofs are missing shingles, and people have had to place buckets in every room in their house. All the neighbors here.
Unbelievable, the scale of destruction that is taking place. Power lines down, buildings destroyed in Gilmer County, Georgia.
Well, good morning, guys. I'll tell you, we are here in Gilmer County in the Ellijay area. Light rain right now. Temperature really cooled off, too. We're in the mid-60s or so. I want to show you what's going on here. Earlier this morning, a storm pushed through this area of Old Highway 5 at Ellington Road, and look at the substantial storm damage on Ellington Road. I mean, you'll notice power lines are down, power poles are over. There's siding from homes, also metal roofing across the roadway, and so much other debris. Off to the left, behind the trees, you'll see a green building. That belongs to the Georgia Forestry Commission. The side of the building and the top of the roof there have been ripped off in the early morning storms that came through this area. It's unclear whether we had a situation of straight line.
No reports of any injuries, but the damage is severe in that location. And we've been mentioning this throughout the morning here with the
This is just north of us. That's not a sight anyone wants to see. A car likely totaled with water into the vehicle. This is yesterday out of Tennessee. Downpours had developed yesterday afternoon. That's actually the beginnings of the line of storm that is pushing through our neck of the woods this morning. As they say, turn around, do not drown.
Turn around, do not drown. North Georgia storm damage.
Very fortunate that the tree didn't fall on my house, right? Like the size of that tree, if that would have fallen this way, I've got an 11-month-old baby in there. We'd be having we wouldn't be having a conversation right now.
City crews spent the afternoon working to remove the tree. Overnight, we saw some damage from the first line of storms that moved through. In Dalton, winds took down this gas station awning. And this is what we saw in Gwinnett. Store power. Fox 5's Deidre Dukes continues our team coverage now. And Deidre, a Georgia Forestry Commission building suffered heavy damage there
when fierce storms bore down on the area overnight.
The equipment wasn't damaged, but all the building is.
The storm sent sheet metal raining down on Ellen Park's house next door.
The wind was so hard, the house was moving.
Parks and her boyfriend dove for cover as the storm grew in intensity.
It was wind and then it stopped, bang, and wind. And when it did that, the house just started pouring because it took our shingles off the roof.
Debris scattered all along this stretch of Old Highway 5 and Ellington Road in Ellijay. Georgia power crews spent the day working to restore.
This is just, I don't know about you guys, but I look at this and I am just, it's overwhelming how many people are being destroyed on a daily basis just with weather alone. I honestly don't know how an awful lot of these people are going to recover from this. That's Georgia too. Dalton residents, I believe this is Georgia. Apartment complexes flooded. Iowa family barely made it to shelter.
Thank you. Yeah, we were getting ready for my oldest son's graduation party, to have it in a new Quonset building that we had just built for him, to practice his rodeo in, because he calf ropes and team ropes. And my friend called 5 times, and on the 5th time, she finally said to me, "Casey, we just need you to go to the basement. We just need you to go to the house. Just go to the house."
Wow.
And I said, "Okay, I'll go." And we just barely made it. And my youngest son and I were actually the only ones home at the time. And yeah, we made it to the basement. We grabbed our dogs. I put him and the dogs in the basement, and I went out to look, and I looked and I saw the sky just wasn't looking right. And I looked to the south of our house, and there was one tornado that actually came over a ridge line, over a hill. We live in the Lust Hills, and it came over a hill, and I saw it. And as I was turning, I saw actually there was 2. One came through a valley also and hit right after. So
wow.
it was 2 of them coming at us.
5 phone calls, Kiana. That's a really good friend.
That is a really good friend. And speaking of that.
Wow. Barn collapses, killing multiple animals in suburban Illinois.
It was about 2:30 p.m. Tuesday when neighbors in unincorporated Harvard, Illinois, 75 miles northwest of Chicago, felt the storms rush through the top of the hill on Widener Road.
Just started getting real black. Then the next thing I knew, it started raining really hard. I could see what appeared to be like shear winds coming straight. The rain was going straight across.
Terry Purcell showed us the tree damage at his home, but it was his next door neighbors that got hit the worst. Their 30 by 50-foot barn collapsed, trapping animals inside.
When we arrived, the family was trying to get some of the animals out, so our crews initiated some shoring of the barn, what we could, start moving material, get the animals out that we could initially see. We have 24 sheep, 18 goats, 1 cow, and several ducks and chickens that were in the barn that we got out of the barn. There was probably about 12 animals out when we got on scene, and the rest we pulled out.
At least 4 goats and sheep were killed.
It was a 2.
Shit. Severe weather kills 1, downs trees, and floods roads across Charlotte, North Carolina.
Vanessa, I'm at Gaston County Emergency Management, where officials say they got about 1,200 calls for service this afternoon related to the storm. One of those calls was to this scene we're showing you on South New Hope Road near Belmont. Now, a neighbor sent me these photos you're seeing, showing the huge tree that fell onto a car with 2 people inside. Officials say the driver, Jacqueline Morrison Donald, from York, South Carolina, died on scene. The man riding with her, Tyrone Edward Lee, is at the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. I spoke with a man who lives right next to where that tree fell. He says he and his son came running out to help once they realized there was a car underneath it, but they couldn't do anything because of live power lines on the car.
I wish I could have done something. You know, it's a bad thing that you feel like your hands are tied when there's power, and you just, afraid you would lose your life trying to help somebody. So we didn't even attempt it. We was waiting on some rescue person to.
It's a sad example of the widespread devastation people across our viewing area experienced today. I mean, take a look at this house in Northwest Charlotte. I spoke with the man who was inside when that tree came crashing down. He has a gash on his forehead, but luckily was able to move away as it was falling, and he is okay. But the house, the fire department told him it's uninhabitable. So now he's looking for somewhere to stay tonight. So as people grapple with all sorts of loss, officials are warning to stay inside and off of the roads tonight.
1 dead, 1 injured from severe storms in Gaston County. I think this is also North Carolina.
Now, this is a CBS 17 Storm Team alert.
Dangerous weather moving from western North Carolina into central North Carolina. And right now, a state of emergency has been declared in Gaston County. We've learned a person in Gastonia died after a tree fell on a car. Good evening. Thanks for being here. I'm Angela Taylor.
And I'm Rod Carter. The rain has slowed down a bit in central North Carolina, but we're not quite out of the woods just.
And look at this cloud. Oh my God, look at this cloud. It's all manufactured. Storm rolls through Charlotte area Wednesday, causing widespread damage.
Just a couple hours time from Dallas to the Speedway in Kannapolis, the heart of Uptown, down to Rock Hill. Lots of folks seeing impacts from this storm at some point.
And now it's cleanup time. We have a little bit of a lull as we go into the evening portion of the day. Now, here's a snapshot of some of the damage that has been left behind throughout the afternoon and evening.
And this here, fire erupts during thunderstorm, destroys construction site. And this was, I did the search, CBS 21 News. Let me see. Pennsylvania.
For sleeping. Now 50 crews, they responded to this 3-story apartment complex that you see here right behind me. And I'm taking a look at our surroundings right now, and I see a lot of burnt pieces of this apartment complex building just all over the surface of this area. I'm actually going to have our photographer take a zoom in just so you can see some of the destruction this fire has left behind. I mean, the 3rd floor is scorched. I mean, char is just devouring most of the structure, and you can even smell smoke still in this area. So what we know so far is that the fire happened during a thunderstorm. You probably could hear through your window this morning. I mean, if you just take a look at some of the video our crews got, I mean, you can see crews battling the blaze. Luckily, no injuries were reported.
And luckily, nobody was living there. And yes, dude, WTF, houses are blowing up. A lot of houses. In fact, I have one on the queue. But this North Loop in Houston, I included this last night. The 18-wheeler that shut down a major artery in the Houston area. What happened? A bulldozer came loose. The 18-wheeler was transporting a bulldozer, and it came loose. And when I was driving last week behind, these trucks that transport cars, we were right behind it, and I was thinking, hell, man, if any of these cars came loose, that would be it. Well, this bulldozer came loose.
At Homestead Road.
Anayeli Ruiz joins us live from near the scene tonight. Anayeli, what's the latest?
Well, guys, they just opened 2 lanes on the west side after being closed for nearly 7 hours, but the eastbound lanes are still completely shut off. I want to show you guys what they're dealing with. Behind me, you can see TxDOT workers officers are working on part of that barricade that was just destroyed. Now, I just talked to police a short time ago, and they tell me, based on their preliminary investigation, a Mazda traveling westbound on the loop suddenly changed lanes, which may have forced the semi-truck to swerve and hit the barricade. Officers tell us that caused the bulldozer to fall off the 18-wheeler trailer and go into eastbound traffic. They say the
See, that nothing seems to be working quite right these days. So, any of you experience being out and about and wondering what might happen? And here, yeah, a home blew up. An explosion. Look at this. Gone. It's gone. What? Really? Okay. A Princeton house explosion. Kills 2 people. Sends debris into trees. This is in Princeton, Minnesota. Look at this. That's quite the explosion. Wonder what happened there. Hi, sweetie. I'd say anybody that was in that house is no longer. Alrighty. Here, sinkhole swallows car after crash.
Crane to do it. A sinkhole opening up near 75th Avenue in Encanto. One woman in the fight of her life in critical condition right now. Meantime, water and dirt spread all over the road for about an hour, and ABC 15's Eleni Dow spending the morning right there with more about how this happened and how nearby businesses were affected in a big way.
All right, this is something you don't see every day, a car being pulled out of a sinkhole. Now, the car crashed into a fire hydrant after hitting another car and causing all of this mess.
For me, it's a normal Wednesday.
Or it was for Hilda Verdugo until this happened.
It is scary to see stuff like this.
A sedan sinking in mud on a busy street.
Oh my goodness!
A surreal sight.
The car is inside of the hole!
Causing quite a spectacle and many curious eyes.
I was just heading at work and I see the crash. It was bad and loud, like boom. And I was terrified.
Phoenix police say a crash happened near 75th Avenue in Encanto, and then at least one of the cars hit a fire hydrant.
The fire hydrant exploded and water was going everywhere.
Dr. Rusty Jones having to close his orthodontist office, not being able to treat any teeth because of this and the water being shut off.
We had to cancel all of our patients for today. We had to shut down, but it's kind of crazy just because it looks like a mini tornado came through here.
It took many crews to help clean this mess up that also flooded the parking lot.
Be careful, Mr. Gay, this is from Nat.
Even a dive team member helping out so the car could be picked up and taken out.
I've been here for 17 years at this location, and I've never seen this before, ever.
I don't think a lot of us have seen that. Yeah. Massive shelf cloud hovers over Illinois amid severe weather, and this news reporter is explaining, the severe weather.
Over, and there's little
spots. Air masses going in different directions. Wow. Well, we have electromagnetic frequencies that can actually cause all of that.
Low this is in comparison. So here it is. There's the shelf cloud. Notice how it wraps back around, and now he kind of pans over, and there's little spots where there is embedded. As quickly as I'm trying to point things out, they're moving along with me, but you can see that there's lowering embedded in this. And then this is actually pushing over some residential areas. Then the other aspect of this is just look at the color, right? So this is showing you very strong updrafts that are happening embedded inside that. So not only does that fuel the shelf cloud and the potent turbulent weather, but it also allows large hail to form when these strong updrafts continue to...
Here, I'll put the link in if any of you want to listen to this explanation. I'm sure you all want to know, right? Yeah. A goat was crushed by falling ice chunk.
We know where this ice chunk came from?
Well, we at least have a good idea after looking more deeply into it. This neighborhood right here is, well, directly overhead, a path where thousands of planes travel to get to the Salt Lake City airport. The most likely explanation, it's believed, is that basketball-sized chunk of ice fell thousands of feet and crashed right here. Cassidy Lewis heard the bang Monday morning.
It shook the house.
It left her animals in chaos.
The roosters were freaking out. The horses were going crazy.
When she ran outside, she saw the hole ripped into the goat shed, chunks of ice scattered around, and a maimed goat. Her mind couldn't make sense of just what had happened.
I was just confused by what had happened, so I did call the sheriff out.
The sheriff then telling her the only reasonable source of the ice would be a passing plane.
He just said that we are below a flight path and it could have been ice from an airplane, which I had no idea could even happen.
Her own research and calls to the airport leaving her convinced it's the only explanation. That it would happen to crash through a shed and kill an animal is more than 1 in a million odds.
We were just very unlucky, apparently, to have it hit us. And
Cassidy is glad now it wasn't her home or her children endangered.
honestly, every time I hear a plane go by, I'm like thinking, like, do I need to? Like, it's made me a little bit nervous about it happening again.
Ice from an airplane? Rescued man, this is in Brazil, reunited with his dogs.
Olha aí, conseguiu pegar do... Aí, ó, deu certo, viu? Vamos sair da... Olha aí, conseguiu pegar do... Aí, ó, deu certo, viu? Vamos sair da...
Wow. Good. All right, I'm going to play, and I want to give a big shout out to Real Fishing Life. Let me put his channel link in the chat. Shout out because not a lot of people are doing what many of us were doing years ago, but Real Fishing Life is doing a great job. Can you handle the truth? Proof. NexRad radar systems controls the storms. I'm going to play, this is a 32-minute video. You might want to circulate it around. I'll put the link in to the video itself, and I will let it play for several minutes. And he goes back in time, and that's very good. He's showing what needs to be seen.
Of weather modification in the Pacific Ocean is very strong this morning. Let's go over the last 6 hours here. Individual lines is continuously pumped us out from aircraft, and you can also see the chemtrail vessels are at hand here. These heavier ones are from ships. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 5 ships at play here. And uncountable aircraft trails. Each one of these trails are from an aircraft, whether it's commercial or military, being controlled by the UN to spray our skies. With this weather controlling material that's also very toxic for the environment. You can actually see the shadow of this trail here from the sun shining down onto a fog bank, I would say that is. But this is ships that's pumping it out also inside that fog bank. They probably can't even be seen by anybody. But they can be seen by the satellites. Let's go over the last 6 hours again and watch the chemtrail vessel as well as these aircraft that sprayed all night. I got a lot to show you. I want to show you how the radar has been working the storm since 1990s. See, this thing is just pumping out all night long, these ships and these aircraft. I want to go over a few things. I want to show you radar loops from 1998 and how they were controlling the storms even that far back. A lot of people wasn't alive that long ago, but I was. This is NexRad radar system controlling the storms in October 1998. Very electrifying the atmosphere, very much so. I got a lot to go over today, so stay with me, warriors. But this is a long time ago. This is 28 years ago. They were controlling our weather. They would knock out cold fronts with this technology where we would not see it in Florida whatsoever. Or they would intensify it so strongly that we had what we called a no-name storm that made my house have 2.5 foot of water when I was a child, 18 years old, I think I was. 23. Might have been 20. 1993 is when it happened, so I was 20 years old. A long time ago now. 30 years ago, they were been manipulating the weather easily, but they've been going. I like to find the ionosphere since the 1930s. They were using weather balloons back then before the radar. Excuse me, the radar system was developed as we know today. But I just want to show you how far back they were controlling the weather, manipulating the weather. They have it under full control now. We're seeing storms like we've never seen before. But this is them electrifying the ionosphere with their NexRad radar systems. Now we have over 6,000 satellites. That's brand new that I think is part of the new system. Soon to be 42,000 satellites. Stand by. Let me show you more updated. This will be from 2011. I believe this next one will be. First, while I have the Warriors' attention, I want to show you Hurricane Matthew with the same technology in 2016 of October. That would be 20 years later, or 19 years later, whatever. I like doing the math real quick there, but let's see here. Let's put it in motion. You'll see Hurricane Matthew come from the south. You'll see how they slow it down, stall it out, make it bump along the coast. I'm going to let it play at this speed, and I'm going to slow it down and play it again. Slow it down, half speed. But you see how they control Hurricane Matthew, and that's how they also controlled Hurricane Katrina. And hurricanes from 1962 was, I believe, manipulated. Galveston, the first one ever televised, was one of their operations. But you can see how this technology bounces Matthew right along the coast. Then once they get done with it, they'll just push it right on out of the way. But that's all your NexRads. And they just put a brand new one at my mouth of my river. They got them all over Florida now. There's actually 2 on an island out here. Let's watch it one more time and I'll go on to some other stuff. You got the gist of it, that they can manipulate these storms. That would have pushed Matthew away, but they destroyed this cold front. It never made it. But they can do whatever they want with Matthew. They made it just ultimate damage along the coast here. That eye of the storm's the worst part of it. The devil is in control of some very powerful technology created by man. All right, stand by. Let me see what else I can show y'all today.
Okay, I'm going to put the link in again. There you go. It's Real. The name of the channel is Real Fishing Life. And I did put his channel link in, but I'll do it again. Oh boy, we're at war and most people don't even know it. So, 3 Boeing crashes in 2 days. If you're flying, try not to fly a Boeing. Terrified passengers scrambled to escape burning jet in Senegal, and tire explodes on a 737 landing in Turkey 24 hours after nose gear failure caused on a 767 to slam into runway. Don't do a Boeing. Not good. I think this is the Senegal. Crash landing. And another house on fire, but it looks like it's the cars. Fire breaks out in Hayward neighborhood, Alameda County in California. And look at the cars. And it looks like it might have been an electric vehicle right here. It looks like all of the cars are burning up. Oh, those electric vehicles, very, very dangerous. And very hard to put the fires out. They burn forever. Look at his face. Biden denies economic reality in interview. Oh, just goes on and on and on, right?
It's also true right now, Mr. President, that voters by a wide margin trust Trump more on the economy. They say that in polls. And part of the reason for that may be the numbers. And you're aware of many of these, of course. The cost of buying a home in the United States is double what it was when you look at your monthly costs from before the pandemic. Real income, when you account for inflation, is actually down since you took office. Economic growth last week, far short of expectations. Consumer confidence, maybe no surprise, is near a 2-year low. With less than 6 months to go to Election Day, are you worried that you're running out of time to turn that around?
We've already turned it around. Look at the Michigan survey. For 65% of American people think they're in good shape economically. They think the nation's not in good shape, but they're personally in good shape. The polling data has been wrong all along.
Oh, it's the polling data. Oh. Look at his face at the 20-second mark onward. He's acting as if he's hearing this economic data for the first time. Yeah, he looks completely bewildered. Why those words are coming out of her mouth. This is CNN. How could they ask such a question? But they know what the questions are going to be beforehand.
What about, but there's real pain. Grocery prices are up 30%, more than 30% since the beginning of the pandemic. And people are spending more on food and groceries than they have at any time really in the past 30 years. That's a real day-to-day pain that people feel.
It really is. And it's real. But the fact is that if you take a look at what the people have, they have the money to spend. It angers them and angers me that you have to spend more. For example, the whole idea of this notion that Senator Casey talked about, shrinkflation. I think it's on your
same
program.
Price for a smaller bottle of juice or something.
For example, Snickers bar, they did a thing. And it's like 20% less for the same price. That's corporate greed. It's corporate greed. And we've got to deal with it. And that's what I'm working on.
And by the way, I've enriched myself. Wow, Mega Millions. through my corruption in Washington, D.C.
Why should people here believe that you will succeed at creating jobs where Trump failed?
He's never succeeded in creating jobs, and I've never failed. I've created over 15 million jobs since I've been president. 15 million in three and 3/4 years.
Lies, 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 outrageous lies. It's a reflection of the American people that we have just accepted lie after lie after lie, and now they're so outrageous coming from our quote-unquote leaders that it's mind-boggling that still a whole lot of Americans are just quiet. Martin Armstrong has new data on how well the Biden economy is doing. Do you need a spoiler alert? It's not doing well, and the financial system is about to tank. If the U.S. government could default on its debt, if countries around the world continue to stop buying it, well, Armstrong said, I think the U.S. could default on its debt as early as 2025, but probably in 2027. We have kicked the can down the road as far as we can go. It's not just in the United States. Europe is in the same boat. So is Japan. This is why they need war. Yeah. They think by going into war, that's the excuse to default on the debt. They simply will not pay China. If they try to sell their debt, good luck. We are not redeeming it. The same thing is happening in Europe. So once that happens, you go into war. And that is their excuse on this whole debt thing to collapse, which wipes out pensions. Then they can blame Putin. This is the same thing Biden was doing before, saying this was Putin's inflation. Remember that? Yeah, it was Putin. Then with the whole CBDC thing, central bank digital currency, the IMF has already completed its digital coin, and they want that to replace the dollar as the reserve currency for the world. These people are desperately just trying to hang on to power. Nobody wants to give it up, and nobody wants to reform. What he said is, I think you need safely 2 years worth of food supply. This is what I have. It's not just prices will go up, but mainly because there will be shortages. But prices will go up. They will skyrocket. Can you guess what it costs to live the American dream after 3 years of inflation? The cost of living has been going up much faster than your income has been. Millions of Americans that were once prospering are now deeply struggling. When Michael Schneider was growing up, most of the population could afford to live the American dream, but it's no longer true. At this point, the basics of a middle-class lifestyle are out of reach for most Americans. Poverty and homelessness are steadily rising, and the economy has become the number one issue during this election cycle. Most of us just want things to go back to the way they used to be, but thanks to the very foolish decisions. They're not foolish decisions. They're calculated decisions to destroy Americans and destroy this country. It now takes over $100,000 a year for the typical family to live the American dream in all 50 states, and in 29 it takes over $150,000 a year. Your household, did it bring in $150,000 last year? If not, living the American dream will not be possible for you in most states. Mortgage rates have risen to very painful levels. Average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage was sitting at about 3% at the beginning of 2022. It's now at 7.2%. Monthly payment on a 30-year fixed mortgage at 7.2% for a $400,000 home would be $2,715 a month. The percentage of renters that believe that they will someday be able to afford to purchase a home has dropped to an all-time low. So this is going to be a very tumultuous election year. Even worse than 2016, 2020. Here we go, 2024. And Schneider is convinced that we will see even more chaos after the election than we will before it. The American people desperately want change, but instead things just continue to get worse. Well, the American people better do something, because sitting around doing the same thing over and over and over again is just a sign that you're mentally ill. Decades of decisions have brought us to this point. Trying to turn this ship around is not going to be easy. Decades means Republicans and Democrats have accountability here. What is this? America's new Death Valley. Inside the rural town where the suicide rate has mysteriously exploded to become the 4th highest in the world. Wyoming. Natrona County. The coroner, Jim Whips, on Tuesday urged county commissioners to address the issue after 12 people, mostly young adults, killed themselves over the past 4 months. The town is where a 14-year-old boy was stabbed to death as he tried to protect his girlfriend from 2 teens at a mall. A blow to the tight-knit community. Rural Wyoming. Rural areas are, a whole lot of people say go out to the rural, get out of the cities. Well, of course the cities, because of, you know, how populated they are. You're going to see an awful lot of violent chaos, but you're also going to see it in rural areas. The county's suicide rate is on pace for another record year in this county. I was telling the school board, this is Whips, the coroner, I was telling the school board, when I look at these kids in their 20s and 30s, I can almost always pinpoint that a big part of their problem that led to the suicide started in adolescent years. Wyoming, which for years had the highest suicide rate of any state, is part of the suicide belt running the swath of mountainous land from the tip of Montana down to New Mexico. You'd think that Montana and Wyoming, people would be flourishing. No. For the first time since 2017, Wyoming dropped from number 1 in the country in terms of suicides last year, but has since resumed the dubious distinction from also rural Montana. Montana was number 1 suicides. Wyoming displaced Montana. Unbelievable. So the state sports a 32.3% suicide rate out of all its deaths, fueled by 155 suicide deaths last year, down from 190 the year before. But Casper and the surrounding region has now surfaced as a hotspot. Suicides have also been seen in neighboring Mills and Evansville, where life is decidedly slow. Wow. This is the 14-year-old who was stabbed to death. Wyoming. Okay. So, medical freedom versus public health. Should fluoride be in our drinking water? Well, of course, they say fluoride is good. It's good for you. It's misinformation. Those misinformation campaigns increasingly target the cavity-fighting mineral, promoting communities to reverse mandates. Dentists are enraged. Parents are caught in the middle. Well, the CDC says it's all good. It's all good. Okay. Migration, not so good. Listen to this.
Let's take Amsterdam, the capital. Amsterdam currently consists of 56% migrants. The Hague, 58% migrants. Rotterdam, almost 60% migrants. And of course, most of these immigrants come from non-Christian, non-Western, African and Middle Eastern countries. Conclusion, the Dutch population is already outnumbered in the majority of our cities. But let's look onwards. London, 54% migrants. Again, conclusion, native population outnumbered. Brussels, color me shocked, 70% migrants. Conclusion, native population majorly outnumbered. And other Europeans will, of course, follow suit soon if they haven't already. So I'm going to draw the forbidden conclusion here. The Great Replacement theory is no longer a theory. It's reality. And what's interesting about replacement is that the establishment will either deny its existence, or when they admit to it, they say that it's a good thing that the native European population is soon no longer a majority on its own continent. Dutch national disgrace and dubbed climate pope Frans Timmermans already stated in 2015 that diversity is humanity's destiny and that Europe will be diverse. And of course, by now, I think we all know what they mean with the word diversity. It means less white people, less of you. Imagine this in an Asian or an African country. Imagine their leaders rejoicing in the fact that their people will soon no longer be a majority in their own country. Absolutely unthinkable, unimaginable. So what in the world is wrong with our leaders?
All purposeful. Federal government spent over $66 billion on illegal immigrants in 2023. Spent only $3 billion on homeless veterans.
The federal government spent over $66 billion on illegal immigrants in 2023, according to the Federation for American Immigration. Does anyone here want to guess how much we've spent on homeless veterans in 23? Guess? High? Well, let's just start. Higher, lower, the same? Anybody want to guess?
Fractional.
Fractional. Thank you. $3 billion. 66 on illegals, $3 billion on people who have laid down their lives for this country. Can anyone explain up there why that makes sense?
Well, one is including all sorts of benefits, and one is just looking at a very, very narrow slice.
No, I'm using the same numbers. Sir, you are. I am using apples to apples. It would be a very
different.
I'm using apples to apples. So since you know, why don't you share with me?
We don't track U.S.
We
don't track U.S. veterans in the census, so that would be very helpful if we did. Then I would be able to give you a very.
But do you know the answer? Because I do. I do. So I appreciate your opinion of which you have no facts on, but let me continue and let me educate you some more. The federal government, breaking that $66 billion down, let's look at what we fund. So you might want to get a pencil and paper and take some notes because I'll help you do your job. $5.8 billion in SNAP, $10 billion in Medicare, $8.2 billion in uncompensated hospital expenditures, $3 billion for primary and secondary education for illegal immigrants, And how many illegal immigrants are given taxpayer-funded housing compared to the number of homeless veterans that are sleeping on the street? You don't know because you don't want to know. You don't want to see the numbers. Well, I do, and I can share with you the American people do. Because I'll share with you, the people in my district in Michigan of the 9th District, we care about our homeless veterans. We care about our veterans. And yes, we care about them a little bit more than we care about people who have broken the law to get here illegally. So I actually have some suggestions and maybe some answers on how to fix it. Instead of $66 billion, here are a couple things we could spend. The White House has requested $13 million for the National Call Center for homeless veterans. I'm going to say it again. $13 million with an M, right? Maybe we could find that out of that $66 billion, right? Different between million and billion, big difference. We could funnel some more of that $66 billion to our homeless veterans. Anyone opposed to that? Why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we doing it? Anybody got an idea? Anybody got an idea? Why we're not, God bless you, why we're not doing it? I'll tell you why we're not doing it, because the Biden administration does not want to do it. Am I correct? Am I incorrect on that? I didn't think so. This year's budget request from the White House asks for $17.2 billion in mental health spending for veterans. That $10 billion we lose to Medicare spending would surely benefit to struggle with the mental health issues. So why don't we do this? America's a very charitable country. Why don't we take care of our own first? Anyone see a problem with that?
Anyone see a problem with that? I don't. Okay, so I'm going to play some of this. I have to deal with something outside. I'll come back in a few minutes.
Once again, we got the governor of New York saying stuff like this live on air.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions through technology, then you're really addressing society's broader challenges.
So this is what the New York mayor this is what she's busy doing. This is what she's busy doing. Right? This is what she's busy doing. She's busy legitimately like just talking about black people not being able to know or spell out what a computer is. It's the wildest thing in the world. You cannot make this stuff up. And you just have so many of these different incidents happening. You even have Hillary Clinton coming out and saying stuff. But I decided to go to the Bronx myself and speak to the young youth. Let's see what they had to say.
Basically, I'm trying to say, stop downplaying the black community for clout, bro. It's not right. It's not good, bro. We smart.
At all.
Yeah,
It's
bro.
not good at all.
Smart. We know we good. The future is bright, bro. Trust us.
All right, guys. So earlier today, I saw a video where Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, came out and said that kids growing up in the Bronx, specifically black kids, don't know what a computer is.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word a computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things.
So today we're going to go around the Bronx asking black kids and kids in general, do they know what a computer is? What's a computer?
It's like you can use it, go on the internet, search stuff up, benefit yourself,
So you obviously know what a computer is as well.
I know what a computer is. A computer is a device that you can use to search up whatever you want, websites, movies, whatever you want, man.
So why would the governor of New York say that black kids growing up today wouldn't know what a computer is?
It don't make sense. Like, I think our black kids, we're really smart. Like, we're just as smart as all the white kids. Like,
So you're saying that she's stereotyping and she's projecting.
She's stereotyping. She's putting us in a place where we aren't. We're not dumb. We're really smart.
We're smart. We all have to think about it from our view. She can't speak for us.
Exactly. Let us speak for ourselves.
Let the trouble people speak for their own troubles. Am I right?
I had a computer since I was young. I built my own computer at the start of the year.
It just doesn't make any sense. You're saying all these things about a community that you're supposed to be representing, and yet you're doing nothing to help them.
About black children not knowing what a computer is nowadays is honestly so stupid, because schools, NYC schools, they offer laptops and Chromebooks to students that they use in school. There is technology in New York. 2024, like everybody, like there is technology, is what I'm saying. I've never met somebody that's like not used the computer before.
So yeah, so she out here, coming out, and this is what she's busy doing. She's out here just offending a whole group of people. So which means that I will hope this year people vote differently. Stop voting for these cowards or these people that legitimately swear that black people are handicapped. And vote for people that legitimately want New York City to do better. New York City is falling apart, in my opinion, due to people like this that really don't want to address what's really going on in the cities. They're just, bullshitting all around. And then you have stuff like this, right? Hillary Clinton comes out again. This is campaign season. Here's what she's saying about Donald Trump trying to fearmonger Americans. Take a listen.
The world has been here before. People did not take the kind of threats that we saw in the 1930s as seriously as they should, including American journalists. People were taking at face value that, this can be controlled. He may have said some outrageous things, but the institutions will hold. A determined demagogue, unfortunately supported by members of his political party, other enablers, people who care more about a future tax cut than the sanctity of the Constitution, are falling in line.
You're a clown. See, this is why I can't get with this politics stuff, and it frustrates me a lot because I see what's going on in the neighborhoods. I see what's really going on in the inner communities, and I've been living with it for like my whole life. Right, I know what's really going on. So this is why this doesn't scare me. Like she is. Once again, this is what all these politicians are doing. They're not really addressing what's going on for real. So what they'll do, in my opinion, and what I'm seeing, they'll go and they'll legitimately fearmonger of why Trump shouldn't be president. Maybe Trump should be president. Maybe Trump will be president, because you keep trying to fearmonger people into not voting. Oh, the Constitution, this, that, and the third. There are literally kids dying.
And the Constitution has been ripped to shreds by people like this one. Okay, this is Lou Valentino. I'll put the link to his video in the chat. And yeah, Kathy Hochul actually said that. And I did laugh watching Terrence Williams, his response to what Kathy Hochul said. Black people don't know what a computer is. Okie dokie. Democrats are so racist, and this is how they think black people act when they see a computer.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word a computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them. Because when you have their diverse voices, innovating solutions through technology, then you're really addressing society's broader challenges.
I like Terrence. He is funny. Alright, there's more. I have more. Yeah. How about Denver illegals make demands include culturally... What happened here? Culturally appropriate food, lawyers, unlimited showers, and warnings before evictions. Illegal immigrants at a Denver, Colorado encampment that is set to be removed are refusing to leave until the city meets a list of 13 demands, which include access to fresh, culturally appropriate ingredients for food, unlimited showers, the same housing support that has been offered to others, legal services, and fair warning before kicking them out. All right. Yeah. How about this? Migrant lassos woman, assaults and rapes her. Is there any way out of this nightmare?
He goes, what? What? Muchacho, vaya. Tiene pantalones blancos. He don't got no hat on, right? Está arrastrándola. Dragging her down the block.
She seemed to go unconscious very quickly. UN migration plant. Olivia Hedon admitted on Virgin TV tonight that the strategy of creating large illegal migrant camps was done intentionally with NGOs to publicly force the government into providing accommodation for illegal migrants.
But is it also to draw focus on the fact that here we are, we're sleeping rough? But is it also to draw focus on the fact that here we are, we're sleeping rough, and we've seen when bigger groups gather that there's more of a chance that they will be bused to tented accommodation, tented state accommodation, and better facilities?
So, yes, safety is one of the biggest reasons. People don't feel safe in smaller groups. But now the message is out that one of the only ways it seems that accommodation is being offered, at least in the last few weeks, is via these area cleanups. We haven't heard of many people receiving email offers anymore, but we're not in touch with everyone. It seems that the majority of people are getting accommodation through this means. So it's sending that message, and whether that is in contradiction to then the rhetoric that's been said by the government, to the media, it totally is, because you're saying one thing, we don't want to have a situation like this, but then by action, you're creating it.
Mm-hmm. But is it also to draw focus on the fact that here we are, we're sleeping rough, and we've seen when bigger groups gather that there's more.
That's all I've got for you tonight. I think that's enough. Live honestly, speak honestly, establish yourself as a trustworthy human being. The only way you can do that is if you know who you are, which means that you have done that self-reflection, that hard work of looking in the mirror. Oh, it hurts, but it's necessary. It is necessary. That's the only way that you can find out who you really are. And once you know who you really are, well, hopefully, then the principles that you've spoken but haven't lived, you'll begin to live. And you'll become a stronger force in the world. So, yes. Stay safe. Let's take a quick look at radar one more time. And here it comes. Okay, this is Alabama getting hit hard right now. All of these supercells coming right into the Houston area again. Oh, and Louisiana, North Louisiana. This is not looking good at all for all of you. But this is going to stretch into Georgia. So, you guys in this area, this region of the United States, stay safe, be prepared, and a whole lot of this destructive severe weather is coming at the wee hours. So, be alert, and I'll put the radar link in the chat. Might want to bookmark it, check it out on a daily basis. Several times a day, actually, because we unfortunately have these supercells igniting all over. Stay safe, everybody. And on that note, I say good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.